NISI Global School combines the best of British tradition with the future of education. NISI Global School delivers a Cambridge International accredited curriculum from lower secondary to Cambridge International A-levels. We strive to provide every learner with a holistic and personalised learning experience so that they can fulfil their potential. Students experience both structured and self-paced learning activities within a complete school program in an online platform, the NISI Virtual Academy. Each pupil, with their own secure username and password, can access all the functions of the school: personalised timetable, house points, announcement board, school email to keep in touch with classmates and teachers, many more. My Courses is where students access their virtual classrooms, as well as learning materials. All lessons are recorded, so pupils can always review the lesson recording. My Folder is where students can download, complete, and upload homework and assignments. The Chill Out Zone is a place where pupils from around the world join social clubs and communicate with each other. Students can also seek support from the school office on health. Student support CAST team support students to achieve their ambitions through personalised learning outcomes. Our live online lessons are delivered in a virtual classroom by qualified teachers. A maximum of 15 pupils per class. Classes are grouped by the student's ability and level of comprehension, so teachers can provide more personalised attention, more one-on-one contact with students. Lessons are always engaging and fully interactive. They use a headset to hear the teacher, see a PowerPoint presentation, and participate either verbally using a microphone or by typing in the chat box. At the end of every lesson, the teacher sets a homework assignment. All assignments are marked with detailed feedback. Our online school platform provides a comprehensive reporting suite, allowing partners, customers, and parents at any time to check on a student's attendance and participation, homework submissions, grades, and end-of-term reports, alongside automated non-attendance alerts. Partners, customers, and parents can also log in to their own portal to using technologies to provide an inclusive, social, and student-focused environment that welcomes learners of all backgrounds. We offer effective and innovative ways of providing our students with a holistic learning experience. All registered schools within NISI are Ofsted inspected, courses accredited by awarding bodies including Cambridge. We are one of a small number of approved Cambridge International schools offering courses online around the world. We offer NISI Learning and the NISI Virtual Academy give traditional and non-traditional learners the skills to flourish through innovative education and by influencing positive institutional change. Our courses are taught by experienced teachers with courses accredited by OCR, Cambridge, and NOCN. Units of Sound is a computer-based program designed to help struggling readers with their reading and spelling skills. The software includes screening, pupils' progress and places them at an appropriate level, and also provides printable records for teachers. NISI Skills Academy supports students in completing their apprenticeship with recognised vocational and academic qualifications by working with local providers to create programs that meet industry requirements. We ensure our students are prepared for employment. NISI Education Trust exists to answer emerging questions around maximising the potential of learning in a post-industrial education system. We connect research and practice where innovation can take place and where proof of concepts can be worked through. Furthermore, we have a clear focus on maximising the potential of those who are unable to access the current system. Since our inception, our programs have impacted students, parents, schools, and communities in many different countries where we operate. Our mission is to provide the best possible education to traditional and non-traditional learners worldwide. In Asia, we have representatives in Japan, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. Over the NISI has developed an extensive network of like-minded organizations to share experience. We are currently seeking school, universities, and third sector organizations interested in building innovative partnerships. We look forward to supporting you in your plans for delivering quality, inclusive education and training.
Oh, great. You know, I've seen these videos and every time I watch them, I just get as excited ever again, every time. So firstly, thank you everyone that's joined us here on Zoom today. We feel very honored, and you know, it really shows the commitment that parents, you guys as parents, have for your children. It's just beautiful to see. And everyone that's joining us on Facebook Live, we're really excited, and we can't wait for your questions, your feedback. We hope that we can answer all of them. Just a little message that I told everyone a little earlier. Every PowerPoint, handouts, everything that we reference, we'll be sharing with everyone that signed up with Eventbrite and registered. If you're joining us because your friends told you you have to, or whoever, then drop our host a message with your contact info, and we'll make sure that we add you to that list. So let's begin. All right. So according to the World Economic Forum, a popular estimate shows that 65% of children entering primary school today will ultimately end up working in completely new job types that don't exist yet. In such a rapidly evolving employment landscape, the ability to anticipate and prepare for future skills requirements, job content, and the overall effect on employment is increasingly critical for individuals in order to fully seize the opportunities presented by these trends. As we know, very few 14-year-olds know exactly what they want to do when they grow up, when they leave school, and the career aspirations that they now have will definitely change over the next few years. According to research, the average person should expect to change their career at least 3 times or more, and their employer or job many more times than that. So it's really important that students make choices now that will keep as many career paths open as possible to them. And that brings me to why we're all gathered here today, to discuss the very important role that you all play as parents and guardians, and how you can best support your children as they navigate these times. And you know, as always, please share your questions in the comment box or on the live stream, and we'll definitely get to them. Okay, now for introductions for our panelists today. So we have from our team from NISI, which includes myself. Hi, I'm Armina Haq, and I manage NISI in Bangladesh. I've joined from the private sector. I worked in various countries such as the UK, US, India, and Bangladesh, and in many sectors, starting from finance, health, BPO, technology, and now international education. I feel like the changing career paths really applied to me in my past. So I actually studied IGCSEs and A levels, and I did my degree in mathematics. So from the UK, and so I really know about the importance of choosing subjects that really gave me the transferable skills that I needed as I, you know, still figure out who I'm going to be as I grow up. All right, and with me, I also have my colleague, Jan Michael Santiago from NISI in the Philippines. JM is an experienced educator in both basic and higher education. He's been working collaboratively with schools and organizations in the Philippines to help them support their students, as well as working towards improving their teaching and learning in the region. So JM, just give everyone a wave. I know your part's coming up in a little bit. Great. And then we have Mr. Oliver Chen, who's with us live today. He's been involved with universities, working with their students' applications for both undergrad and postgraduate programs. So I know all you parents are going to be dying to get their hands on you, Oliver, with their million and one questions. So Oliver, could you share from your perspective, what universities, what you're looking for from the students that apply, and really what parents need to be thinking about as they go through the process and what options they have? All right, Oliver,
Yeah,
I'm going to hand
thank
over to
you.
you.
Thank you, Amina. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. I'm Oliver Chen. I've worked with several universities and colleges in Malaysia as well as in other part of countries like in UK. And of course, along the way with my experience, I have actually successfully helped more than 1,000 parents and students successfully register into the universities through their entry requirements, be it a national qualification or from the Cambridge International Examination. So what I'm going to share to you today is from my experience and what I've actually witnessed about the fast track, because actually Nisai invited me from my previous experience in universities. We also actually collaborate. My responsibility is also collaborating with other part of universities in UK and China. And of course, from there itself, I've also noticed there are many different requirements that from these universities. Okay, but one thing that I know that the common entry requirements will be Cambridge International Examination, which is actually globally recognized. So I want to share with you a topic that I believe is what we call a fast track pathway admission requirement into universities. Allow me to briefly share the process how a university in generally works. We actually accept a minimum of 5 subjects with a minimum of grade C from a national school's qualification or equivalent. Now, what's the definition of equivalent? Now, the definition of equivalent means like something that other than from the national school itself. So IGCSE level and other globally recognized qualification are accepted. So sometimes as from the academic point of view, we actually accept IGCSE A level as the entry requirement besides the national qualification. And from my experience, most of the university accept this qualification as the entry requirement or admission. And for certain students that they have A-level qualification, Cambridge A-level qualification, some universities do actually give them certain exemption, but it all depends on the university itself. So I would say that this is one of the fast track education pathway into the university admission itself. And from what I see, not only Cambridge qualification is globally recognized, it also prepares students who are ready for the exam regardless of age. Why I'm sharing this is because we have students even at age 16 or even 17. Unlike certain national schools, we have most of it are 17 years old or 18 years old entering into our undergraduate programs. But from the IGCSE itself, since they start from 14 to 16 years old, so we have students, we tend to have students that are actually sometimes 16 years old or even younger. So which means that they will graduate at age 21 or at age 22. Okay, and this of course is one of the fast track education pathway that I would say. And from my perspective itself, is not only, it doesn't only save costs. Okay, it's a route entering into universities. And whereas for, like I mentioned, certain students, whereas for students applicants with A-level qualification, okay, certain subjects can be exempted in the year 1 undergraduate program, okay, or some in US they call it the freshman. But these shall be assessed, evaluated, and determined by the university itself. So For more information about the IGCSE, so what we're going to do is that there are two brochures for your reference to give a clearer picture of the IGCSE and the entry requirements from my perspective itself. So one will be the Cambridge IGCSE Learn, Discover and Achieve. The second one is Global Recognition Fact Sheet. So I believe that Lisa will send these two facts information about IGCSE to you as parents, so that you'll be able to learn, understand, and if there's any question, you can always check with Lisa. Okay, the other thing that from what we do from the university itself is, besides academic qualification, we also look into extracurricular activities as part of the qualification and entry requirement points. However, only correct and added value extracurricular activities will be considered. So this is all important. Besides the academic itself, I would always encourage students to have the extracurricular activities to add it into their video or what we call their profile. Okay, it will help them in their admission or entry requirements. Now, for more information about what actually you expect from a university that you plan to apply in, of course, I usually would recommend that you contact the university's counselors to get the specific information. But what Nisai is actually planning to do is that they have actually appointed me to assist if any parents or students who wish to know about the universities, what are their requirements, perspective. I'll be happy so that you will be able to know what exactly they want and so forth. So this will be basic information about the entry requirements as per my experience and my advice to you. So I will pass the floor back to Amina, and if there's further question, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. I think we have it caught on camera tape that you said you're generously offering us your time and any parents to look at if they have any questions about their select university. Ali, I actually have a couple questions for follow-up, if that's okay.
Yes,
so
please.
One of the things was you mentioned that extracurriculars is really important when applying, when admissions administrators are looking at the applications, but you mentioned that it has to be value added or the correct extracurricular. Could you give us some examples of what types of extracurriculars are correct or extra value, or you would consider it to be good value?
Yes. Some of the extracurricular activities will be like voluntary works in the schools or activities that may be in the school or outside the schools that is related to the program. Because some students, for instance, they would like to do on a medicine itself. So they will volunteer themselves into the medical aspect of the extracurricular activities. So for more specific, besides medicine or any other particular field itself, please feel free to contact, because there are so many fields. There are hundreds of fields available, and I'll be happy to actually assist, into what are the extracurricular activities that is needed. Yeah, it is one of the aspects. It is not the main one, but it is important as to build for your own profile.
Yeah, like I know some universities look for high level of music, if you have an instrument, or if you're passionate about some sports, making sure you're part of like a club team and things like that. Thank you. That really clears it up. And then I actually had just another question before. I know we'll probably get lots more questions at the end, but before we wrap you up, in terms of application dates or when people should start thinking about reaching out to universities. So let's say, if my child is going to be thinking about university in the year 2023, starting in, let's say, I don't know when universities in Malaysia start. Is it the January to December or June to July years? Could you just share like how much before typically parents should start thinking about preparing for the application process?
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question. Most parents would ask, even at the, they have kids at age 9 or 10, it's good for them to prepare, along the 7 or 8 years from today. So to be specific itself, there are certain universities, usually the semesters will begin in January, April, and June. And then, of course, it depends on the universities itself. That is, I'm speaking on certain universities in Malaysia, but there are certain countries, perhaps maybe they are based on the 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. So like I've mentioned, I'll be willing to actually assist if you have universities that you have in mind. We will together contact the university and find out more information so that it actually fits or customized into your needs. So it is actually good. I do encourage parents to actually plan ahead for their kids, even for 2023 or even in 7 years from today. So it's very good. So it's a good planning. Yeah.
So basically, you can't start too early looking into universities, which ones you would like, but the application process usually begins about a year before you would be starting at your university. Great.
Correct. Yes.
Thank
because,
you.
Other than, thank you. Yeah.
No, please finish, Ali.
Actually, many aspects. There are many aspects if we get into the universities itself, because parents will be looking into location, will be looking into budget, will be looking into the programs, whether it fits their children's or not. What do they actually want? So as a counselor itself, what we usually do is that we take all the requirements and then we will have options for them, or they have their own options. They already know where they want to send their kids to, Oxford or any top 10 universities in the world. So we will get the requirements. We will contact together with the parents. This is what I've done on a voluntary basis. So there are many questions besides the entry requirements. They are like I said, the budgets, everything, the field of studies, the number of years, and everything. But what I see generally now is that if they are actually applying to go for overseas universities or even at local universities, I would recommend a globally recognized qualification. Yeah, that will be, I would call it a passport. Once you have this globally recognized qualification, it's actually a passport. You want to go to UK, US, Singapore, Malaysia, or any part of the country, your child will be accepted. That is what I can share. Yeah, a globally recognized passport education.
I like it. We're talking about COVID passports, and now we're talking about high school passports as well.
Correct. Yeah. So I'll be more than happy to assist if any parents would like to plan ahead. Even 7 years from today, it's a big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal. It's a big investment actually for parents. Thinking of the time and investment they're going to invest for their kids. So it's very important that to get this information correct, for them and for their kids. Yeah.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, Ali. I know I did mention Q&A was going to be at the end, but I appreciate you taking some of my questions a little early.
Yeah, don't worry. There are so many questions to be asked because,
yes.
Like I said, because of the investment and time that parents going to spend, as we know, everybody will be nodding their head, agreed with me. Yeah. So there will be tons of questions. They will be keep on asking, and I think Nisai has just appointed me to assist if there are any students that have any question. You just put in the check box, and I'll get my team and myself to reply. It's a good question. A heavy investment, so it's good to ask.
Thank you, Ali. So I hope you will hang out with us for a little bit, and as we get these questions in, we'll ask you at the Q&A part.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, so thank you, Ali. That was very insightful, especially in.
I'll pass the floor back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pass the floor back to you. I'll be here.
Yeah. So thank you. It was really insightful to see, from a university's perspective, some of the key things that you've highlighted. I'd like to, this is a fact that I got, which is really crazy. Some, top universities in the US only accept about 6% of the applications that they receive. So it's really important to research about, the incoming class profile. And, it's key to know that it's never too early to start thinking about what the universities would look for and the extracurricular involvement that Ollie mentioned. So thank you again. All right, so I'd like to invite JM back on with me. And I know, JM, you were going to go into the topics that Ollie kind of touched on a little bit in terms of the other things that parents need to think about, the finances and stuff. I think a lot of parents are probably sitting there waiting for what they need to work on. So I will hand that over to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Armina. And that was a very wonderful insight that you have shared to us, Ollie. Very thankful, and it's very timely that you have mentioned that, because as I believe right now, most of the students are really are now preparing, okay, to go on to the universities or colleges. So especially like here in the Philippines, so universities and colleges are already starting to accept students. Okay, so but what we're actually talking about here is that how parents would be able to help out. Okay, so their children. Okay, so to better prepare, okay, when they take on their college career levels. Okay, so this is very simple, but yet a very important issue, okay, that most of our students, most of our children are dealing most of the time. So the big question here is that when they reach and when they're already in the high school level, or the middle school, even as early as the middle school, and they're at the end of their basic education years. Okay, so they will always ask this question: what course should I take when I go to college? See, I think even some of you here have experienced this. Okay, so during the time when you are entering the college and universities, so which is a very for some it was a very simple question, but it takes a lot of time for us to think about it. What course to take? Should we take? Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, all right. So one way for us to overcome this challenge and issue, okay, of choosing of our children choosing their course is that it is recommended, okay, so that our families, okay, should start planning for college, okay, as early as the middle school years. Okay, as parents to our children, okay, is to save, okay, save for college. Okay, so as your child gets closer to high school and senior high school for some of the schools, okay, so there are opportunities, okay, that they can start preparing not only for their academics but also financially, and of course preparing them for the college life. And it's very important that parents, okay, and families, okay, so must be there, okay, to support and give guidance to their children. Okay, though teachers plays a big role, an important role. In fact, they play a dual role in fostering the students in the school. Okay, so that they will gain their interest. Okay, so they have identified general categories, okay, of their which should be refined. Okay, like for example, if a child is fond of or enjoys music, okay, so that student might be a musician someday. Or if they are into robotics, they're into sciences, okay, so they might be they go to engineering, okay, so when they go to college. So but the question is, how do we really nurture this kind of instances, okay, or issues to our students? How do we help them, okay, choose the right courses, okay, so when they go to college? Okay, so not only teachers but also parents must be sensitive enough, okay, to know their children's or their students' talents, and of course what field of inclination. Okay, so because one reason, okay, so why students okay. So be sensitive enough, okay, to know their children's talent, okay, okay. So okay, so we have a question here, okay. So for Miss Vanessa, she's a single mom, okay. So what we really advise, yes, it's a challenge to be being a single parent, okay, but you know, as parents, okay, so we have to consider also, okay, so what our children, okay, should feel, okay, and we have to identify, okay, we have to identify really their talent, and this is where schools, again, teachers should work collaboratively with the students, okay. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So another point, okay, so on this one, okay, so is of course in connection with this, okay, so is that we have to build the relationship, okay, with the teachers and guidance counselors, especially with that case, okay, of being a single parent, okay. So we have to work, just like what I've said, we have to work collaboratively, okay, with the schools, okay, with the teachers and guidance counselor. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, so students, okay, so can actually, especially if they are in the senior high school days, senior high school years, okay, even in the middle school, okay, so they can actually meet with their school teachers, okay, so or school counselors, guidance from our years, okay, so that they can discuss, okay, their academic performance. Teachers and guidance counselor plays a big role, okay, so in the development of our children, okay, so they can actually guide your children, okay, so on what classes and elective to schools, okay, and they should take which colleges are to consider. That's why here in the Philippines, if I may share, okay, most of the schools here, the high school, even both private and public, are conducting career orientation for the students. So I think it's the same with other countries such as Japan, Bangladesh, Vietnam, right? So because it's already part of the school's program, okay. So school counselors also recommends extracurricular activities that is appropriate, okay, to your students, okay. So next slide, please. Okay, so with this, okay, okay, so just stay on the slide, please. No, for that, okay. So talking about guidance counselor, being a guidance counselor, let me go back to that slide, please. So please. Oh, yeah, okay, all right. So with what we do in the side, okay, is that we don't just focus in the academics. Okay, so we also focus on our students, okay, to guide them in different aspects. We help our learners unleash to their highest potentials and give them guidance towards their career path. So our teachers' approaches, okay, helps our students better understand their talents well. Okay, at the same time, we have this what we call frequent communication with the parents, okay, through different platforms such as WhatsApp, Viber, and right. So that we will be able to engage not only the student but update the parent as well. At the same time, okay, so we make our students immerse with different activities, okay, so in terms of community, okay, so talking about their future, of course, we also talk about safety, and of course, on the health, on their health. So, all right, next slide, please. Okay, so the next point that I would like to discuss here is that aside from this, in preparation, okay, of the students, okay, going to college along with their family, that's which is the reason why we are discussing this concept to you, where how you can better help your children, okay, to prepare to college. That it should also consider and discuss about finances. So everyone is actually struggling on this part because normally, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so we all know that college degrees always comes in the price. Not only the college degree, but also even in the basic education. It is important to determine as a family that you are planning, okay, together to pay for college expenses, especially those parents with uh, you know um, at least budgeting. We have to prepare our child also for financial commitment, okay, the higher education. So we have to make them understand as well, okay, that we have to get themselves aligned, okay, on the set plan, okay, in paying for the college, because we all want it as parents. We all want our children to have better future, okay, and one of it is for them to have better education by going to university and college. So some of the questions are should be asked, okay, in this one, so that we can start planning out. But what makes this more valuable is that we have, when we do the planning as parents, okay, so we have to plan it together with the children, okay, because we want to determine what their needs really are. It is important to review also that the college saving strategy for your children, okay, so upon entering as early as their middle school days. Okay, so if you think that there's a shortfall in reaching out your college savings goals, so then probably as early as the middle school years up to the high school, you should have start adjusting, okay, your savings, okay, on a monthly basis. You may also consider getting financial aids, okay, so probably like educational insurance, and of course, the most appropriate plan, okay, for your financial aid that will benefit your children. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So another thing that you need to consider is, of course, after determining the finances, the skills, the support that you need, then you have to, as a parent, you have to consider also to polish, okay, their social, okay, and people and other soft skills. It's not enough that we have the money. It's not enough that we have the skills, the knowledge, but we also should also have this kind of social, okay, and soft skills. Next slide, please. Okay, so as students, okay, so we can set themselves up, okay, so it takes by college by supporting them, okay, and training them, okay, to develop their soft skills. We should not be the one, okay, who will pin them down, but rather be the one to encourage them, okay, to develop all the skills. Okay? While high school can teach students some of the skills, you have parents might need to work, okay, double time, okay, to acquire the rest. Okay, so for me, I think you have to look for opportunities, okay, to help your develop the children proficiencies. Okay, so such, doing some extracurricular activities, okay, some service work, okay, so probably involve them in community, okay, together with the family, okay, and other activities that will make them engage, okay, and which will lead them to the development of this soft skills. Next slide, please. Okay, then upon developing it, okay, so that's the time that we teach them now to take ownership, okay, of their academic career. So as college students, okay, of course, it's far different from being a basic education student, okay, or the middle schoolers or high schoolers. Why? Okay, because you have to make them stand with their own feet. Okay, so teach them how to become independent. Okay, not always leaning on, but of course, showing them that you support them all the way. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so one of the things that we can do, okay, although this might not be applicable to all, okay, is for them to consider the dual enrollment or doing an advanced placement classes. Okay, so by doing this, okay, so it can some of the countries might be offering this one, but some of the countries like Philippines and Bangladesh may not. Okay, but if this is offered to schools, okay, so in your respective countries, then you might as well consider this one, because this could actually help them prepare not only for their academics but also teaching them, okay, how to save money, okay, earn their college credit, and of course helping them to become members of the workforce of the time, okay, in the more near, okay, near of time. Next slide, please. So also, one thing that we need to consider is developing the what we call demonstrated interest among our children. Okay, so when we say demonstrated interest, this is something something universities that measures to determine the level of interest of the student, okay, in a particular school or university. Because sometimes it's not enough that they have the knowledge, but universities right now, okay, and colleges around the globe are looking, okay, for a strong interest, okay, to the students if they really want to get in that university. If for some institution, okay, demonstrated interest may be something not to consider, but in most of the universities right now, especially those who requires international, who would like to go to the international universities, okay, so this is something that we might want to consider. So how do we show demonstrated interest? What are the things that we need to teach to our children? Okay, so we need to teach some of we need to teach them, okay, because some of the universities will look at these things. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right. So these are some of the 10. Okay, the 10 will be able to show. Okay, go back, please. Hello. Hello. Go back, please. Go back. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So again, these are the 10. Okay, the 10 things that we need to do. Okay, in order for us to show, okay, demonstrate as universities and colleges in different countries. Okay, so we'll be doing this. Okay, so first, of course, just like what I think this was mentioned by Oli, okay, a while ago during his time, wherein students should be able to visit the school ahead of time. Okay, so to show interest to the school, then of course attend informational sessions and attend different activities such as webinars and seminars that's offered by that university that they are targeting. Make frequent email to the admissions, ask queries as much as possible. Make use of your portfolios or essays. Then of course, doing interviews, okay, so to the university. Then of course, be on time, okay, when you would on your application. And of course, interact on social media, which is a new platform that we use nowadays to connect with the universities and know more about their services, okay, and their offerings, and research their website. It's very important that when we go to universities, we should have prior knowledge, okay, on what the university is all about, especially when you're coming from different countries and you would like to go to universities outside your country. So you have to do a lot of research. And of course, make sure that you have active, okay, emails and any kind of platform that can be used, okay, for the universities to communicate with you. Okay. So next slide. Okay, so I think I'm down to the last two slides. Okay, so and all of this, okay, so will only lead to, okay, no, go back to the other slide. Go back to the other slide, please. Okay. So despite of all of this, then the students or our children, okay, so it says that will do better, okay, will do well in college, okay, if they have a strong support system. who is this strong support system? It starts at home. It starts with the parents. Okay, so we should not be parents. Okay, should not be the one to to pull back your children, but you should be the one, okay, pushing them, okay, towards their goals and careers. Okay, and to end this presentation, okay, so what I would like to say is that as parents, okay, so of students, okay, or children who will be in the universities, that's next slide, please. Okay, who would like to be in the universities, okay, you should be their first, okay, so you should be their cheerleader, the one who will uh, you know, shout for them, support them, okay, the one who will help them, okay, to reach their dreams and goals, and of course, be their advisor. And most importantly, you should be the one to, the first friend that they can always count on, okay, so in times of their challenges in life. So there should be, you should not be just the parent who will dictate to them everything, but as a friend who will guide them and who will be with them, okay, so throughout their college, not only before college, but all throughout their future careers in life. So that ends my presentation. So I hope you've learned something on this one as parents, okay, that I can see. So all of these things, okay, so can be visible, okay, so with Nisai, okay, and rest assured that should you be interested or for us to give you some coaching, be happy, okay, to guide you, okay, to help your students, okay, so to be prepared in their college degree level. Thank you and have a wonderful day to all.
Thank you so much, JM. Before you move off, I just, first of all, thank you. I think I completely agree with you. The role of the parents and guardians is really key to making the whole process enjoyable and then ultimately a successful one. I think there's also a very big role of being the bank since financing as well, which is obviously really, really important, and some good discussions that need to happen, with your kids. So thank you so much, Am, for highlighting all of those. You've actually got a couple of questions, but we'll save them for the Q&A part.
All right. Okay, thank you.
All right, great. All right, so thank you all so much for your questions, and I hope it's been informative so far. What I would like to discuss is really, Mr. Chen mentioned it, Oliver mentioned it earlier, was the pathways. The fast track pathway was one that he mentioned, and another one was the international standard. So at NISI, what we focus on is the Cambridge pathway, since we are a Cambridge affiliated international school. So I want to just give you guys a little bit of information on what an international pathway, or Cambridge specifically, looks like and what it considers. So again, keep sending your questions and we'll make a note of it. So Cambridge makes the whole process really streamlined, and even their pre-college level courses are designed in a way to be up to college standards or university standards. Cambridge qualifications are accepted at over 1,400 institutions across 195 countries. I think the last time I checked, there was only like 202 or 204 countries in the world. So that's a lot of countries that have been adopting and valuing the importance of that curriculum. And, it's not just universities, random, it's universities in the US, UK, and other ones. So basically a lot of them. Here's a little breakdown of like the 4 stages, how Cambridge designs their courses. So it leads seamlessly from primary to lower secondary, upper secondary, and then the pre-university years. It's very flexible. And what that means is that students can hop on and off at any point along the way. So for example, a student can join the Cambridge upper secondary stage. So typically that's the age 14 classes, and follow the IGCSE curriculum, even if they missed the Cambridge primary and other courses before. So, I mean, it's just fantastic and so inclusive that they take that into consideration. What's also really unique about the Cambridge courses is good results. And, depending on which college or university you're looking at, the exams that you take at the upper secondary, so that's at age 16, 17 typically, can lead straight from there to foundation years at a lot of universities. It includes in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and GCSE results can also help entry into colleges in Canada and the US as well. And then that actually leads to the Cambridge advanced levels. That's the exams that kids would take around age 18, 19, typically. You can, it's a 2-year course, but at the end of the first year, obviously in the second year too, but at the end of the first year, you can take that and go straight into universities in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and some universities in the US actually offer college level credits to students that have just the first year of their advanced level, A levels. And then obviously with the second year, that's direct entry to over 1,400 universities. So I wanted to share just a quick video that we got from a few college admission administrators, similar to Ollie's roles, but at US universities. And they were just sharing their experience regarding to accepting students who did study the Cambridge curriculum at school and then went to university. So let's play the video.
In Arizona, we require 16 college preparatory units. So the Cambridge curriculum meshes extremely well with that. Those students who have no deficiencies perform at an extremely high level. They retain in the high 90s. Our Arizona students overall retain at about 86%. So the students are performing extremely well, whether they stay with us or after 1 year, they opt to go to another institution to continue their learning.
So one of the things we value with Cambridge students is the fact that they have taken a rigorous curriculum. And so that's college level and college preparatory. So we understand that these students are being prepared for the rigors of college. And that's part of what they were attracted to as students and part of why they sought the curriculum to begin with.
Cambridge students do remarkably well. Our graduation rate for Cambridge students is in the high 90s. So over 95% of all students who come to Brown with a Cambridge background will graduate, and they graduate on time. So there's no question that when students are admitted to Brown, they are some of the best in the world. Those students who come from Cambridge schools, we know, are absolutely extraordinary. When they come to Brown, they do absolutely incredible academic work, and they graduate at the highest levels of, really of any exam structure we see.
I think Cambridge prepares students extremely well. College is all about solving problems. And to solve problems, you have to have a certain set of skills. And what Cambridge does well is help students develop and fine-tune these skills. Skills like analytical thinking, critical thinking, writing.
The rigor of the Cambridge curricula has become a transformative movement in the state of Arizona. You'll find the curricula in 30 high schools and 11 school districts. Those school districts were underperforming for many, many years, and they needed to look at a way to transform how students learn. And to see the results, it's relatively new within the state of Arizona. It's about a 7-year movement. So there's still momentum percolating, but these students are learning in a much different way. I'd say it's a much more meaningful, grounded way. And the results are such where you're looking at schools that underperformed, that maybe only half of the students were finishing a college preparatory curriculum, and now it's close to 100%. It's amazing. It truly is.
I don't think I could.
In Arizona, we require 16.
I don't think I could have expressed it any better than them. The value that following these international standard curriculums really adds to the child's future ease and process. I know Ollie highlighted that it does make it easier from a university admissions perspective. Okay, so I won't read out all the bullets. I think you guys can see that, but I will highlight, I understand parents of students studying in different curriculums must be a little nervous about switching to a new curriculum. I mean, it's always a little daunting, even for the child, especially if they're going to be joining IGCSEs or A-level courses halfway through their school years. They might worry that it'll be hard to catch up, or that other students may be more familiar with the education approach and they might be a little bit behind. But that is just it. It's the way it's designed is so flexible in nature, and the international way that they think about their approach means that NISI and other schools that provide the Cambridge have the freedom to actually tailor the course content to suit the students. So, we can guide kids that have come from different educational standards before when they're joining, but then what Cambridge does is it gives that flexibility in terms of adapting the context, but the syllabus's aims and assessment objectives are the same worldwide. So students can actually begin their study in one country and complete them in another, or, NISI offers students to be online so they can actually take one class one day from one country and another class another day from another country seamlessly. And it's just to really let that message sink in. We actually have a video from Jerry Lucido, who is the admissions administrator from the University of Southern California. Well, can we just play that quickly? Thank you.
Well, Cambridge students stand out because, first of all, it's a worldwide standard of excellence for college and university preparation. They also stand out because they're from all over the world. They bring an important diversity and consistency of training, and further, that the kind of education they've received prepares them for college success.
So Cambridge obviously is just one
Well,
pathway,
Cambridge
and there are others. Oh. I like how the videos are always on loop a little bit. Okay, so to go along with the message that we're sharing about, the Cambridge pathway, students are really strongly advised to take a broad and balanced selection of subjects. We would encourage students to take a modern foreign language, humanities, and creative subjects, in their early years, because covering those 5 areas means that students will have a range of subjects to choose from when they go into their upper secondary. And typically, students can take anywhere between 5 and 11 IGCSEs, depending on, the future that they're thinking about and the universities that they're considering and their requirements. And NISI currently offers a wide range of those subjects, and the list is always growing. And I know another big concern from switching from a local curriculum to an international one like Cambridge would be the language and English requirements that some of the universities in the US and the UK have. So for example, NISI provides CERF courses, which are equivalent to IELTS, and I think there's a couple of other names for tests that standardized tests that the universities accept. So really, you need to be not only considering the international versus local dilemma, you've also got to be thinking about the wide range of subjects and the different areas that they cover. So I think I couldn't really agree more with my colleagues earlier and Oliver, that the earlier we start talking and thinking about it, the better. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, I wanted to just highlight a little bit more about, NISI as an organization and a school, and what we do to support our parents and our students as they're going through this process. And before I start off, just note, please send your questions, keep them coming. We've got some really good ones so far. So Ollie, JM, I hope you're still here and waiting. It's going to be really exciting. So NISI, if we go to the next slide. So NISI, let me see, over 25 years of delivering online education. And that's a pretty big number. I don't know if NISI was actually one of the first providers of online education in the UK, meaning that not only was it providing the subjects and the courses, but it was certified by the Ministry of Education and Ofsted, which is fantastic. And the governors that really look at the curriculum, the assessment, the quality of the teaching, and the students as a whole, the governors have over 120 cumulative years of experience working from learners all the way from primary to adulthood. And really, NISI focuses a lot on special needs. Anyone that I've spoken to about NISI knows that that's a really core part. And that doesn't just mean, students that are necessarily struggling, but also helping students that want to accelerate and move quicker. So it's always really thinking about how to make it accessible to all the students that are out there. And in terms of how we do that, not only do we have an amazing team, but we partner with organizations that really look at the future of education and focus on what the student really needs, what the learners need. And in terms of that, I mentioned that we're certified by the UK Department of Education, Ofsted, but we also actually work really closely with UNESCO, the UN's education side, and SEMIO, which is the Southeast Asian Ministries of Education. We work with their VOTEC and also World Didac. And you know what, I won't go on, there's a huge list, but feel free to go on our website, nisi.com, and you can find the rest of them. It's really exciting, some of the organizations that we work closely with. So if we go to the next slide, thank you. Okay, JM and Ollie really highlighted a lot of the importance of these points, so I won't go into too much details, but I just wanted to mention, the pastoral care is where we, kind of what we talked about is the safety and security, making sure the kids feel comfortable and they're in an environment that they are protected in, even if they're online or hybrid, making sure that they have the personalized learning support. And then, I think a couple of the parents already mentioned this in the chat, but having access to careers counselors and careers advisors at their school is really, really important. And NISI provides all of that. And I know JM termed it as demonstrated interest, and Ollie termed it as, the correct extracurricular activities and things like that. But NISI also provides the chill out zone and NISI house groups where students can compete, kind of like a Hogwarts style. So these are all things that really add to their application and their university processes when as they get older. And then if we go to the next slide, what we really want to focus on is the platform that NISI uses to deliver it. So I'm sure all of you are wondering, if you don't have a physical school, how can you do this? Well, a big part of NISI is the hybrid model. So we have a lot of partnerships with learning hubs, like we call them, in schools that provide the physical component, and we provide the supporting the rest of the learner. But the other way that we do it, I think there was a video right at the beginning. I'm not sure if all of you caught it, but we'll send you a link and you can catch it on our YouTube page, is the parent portal is a big aspect of it as well. So not only do we personalize the student's view, so they get access to the things that they would in school in terms of timetables and things like that, but they have a big part of the community, so the clubs, and they're building friendships there at the comfort and safety, they can go at their own pace, join things that they're more interested in, as well as, we talked about the safety and security. This actually has no webcams, which was a really unique concept when I first heard it. I mean, I completely understand the safety aspect of it, not having, images online of young children, but how do the teachers, engage with the students if they can't see them? And what NISI does really uniquely is they worked with the teachers to give them tips and training and techniques on how to keep the kids excited without forcing them to feel like, we are watching you kind of aspect. So, I'd love to hear about your parents afterwards if you guys face some of those interesting events when you guys had to do homeschooling and video conferencing. And then, oh yeah, Ollie just mentioned, we actually provide a lot of our resources. There's access to like unlimited learning materials, all provided through the NVA, the NISI Virtual Academy. So we'll go to the next slide. Actually, right before that, I wanted to share one quick thing. Sorry, Hua. I don't know how many of your parents remember a couple of years ago, a lot of the exams, whether it was local or international, got canceled, the final exams, and most people were having to submit predictive grades. What was really amazing to see was 100% of the grades that the NISI teachers submitted were accepted. And it wasn't just the grades that the students were working on at that point in time, but the fact that we are online and we have so many different assessment techniques, and we focus on so many different ways to evaluate the child, that we were able to show that yes, they may be working at a B right now, but if we had the 3 months or 6 months of uninterrupted learning and they were able to progress at the pace that they were, you know, on track for their A grades. And because of all the evidence that we were able to show, they were able to accept and get those higher grades that they, you know, deserved, because the pandemic wasn't any of the children's fault. So that was really a beautiful thing to see. I think, I know I'm talking, but I'm sure all of you probably want to hear it from a parent. So we have a little video here from Emma Thompson, who is Max's mom, who actually joined us right before the pandemic. Max was really struggling in school. And yeah, I'll just let you play that video.
We also felt guilty because we both had full-time jobs, and so couldn't really just take on the job of teaching him ourselves. We didn't really feel qualified, and it became extremely stressful as we felt that Max was slipping through the net and getting no education. In January 2020, we discovered NISI. Emma Walker, Fiona's colleague, was absolutely fantastic. She talked us through how it could help Max, and we decided to give it a go. So Max, he did science, maths, ICT and English from January this year to July this year. And it really helped to turn things around quite rapidly. So we found that lessons were a manageable length for Max, and also very small class sizes. And NISI helped Max to establish, as Fiona had said, a real structured routine and a sense of purpose to each day, which had been missing for so long. And he also felt safe and secure in his own home, given all the psychological issues he was having. One of the great things about NISI was that he was assigned a form tutor who was able to watch over his progress, encourage him and boost his confidence. So Max's competitive side also quite enjoyed the house system. And NISI also picked Students of the Week. And I'll never forget Max's smile when he won that accolade. He was absolutely thrilled to bits. And his form tutor said in one of his reports, as Max's form tutor, it's great to read a lovely report. He has been an asset to his classes this term, and he has built in confidence, in particular when using his microphone to speak. Max has received some excellent feedback on assignments, which is fantastic to see. So we really things started to make a difference relatively quickly. Max also took advantage of the clubs and societies which were on offer, and this involvement helped him with building friendships and using his sense of humour with peers. It gave Max a real sense of belonging, which had been missing when he was absent from school. We really, really valued the termly reports because they were so bespoke. There was none of that copying and pasting that you sometimes sense from school reports. They were totally bespoke. And when I would read out the reports to Max from teachers about his progress, you could see the pride and joy in Max's face. He would glow with happiness. And for us to witness that was a joy to behold, especially after all the long-term difficulties that we had faced as a whole family. So NISI didn't just help Max, it helped the whole family. It was very hard to focus on our jobs with Max at home without education or direction. We had this feeling of continuous, unrelenting, chronic stress, which started to lift quite soon after starting NISI lessons. And actually, I asked Max last night, what did you like best about NISI? And his quote from last night was, "NISI helped me learn a lot, and I was not lonely and bored anymore. So I felt ready for the adventure of high school." So a different boy, really. So finally, all in all, I would definitely recommend NISI to other families, whether on a short-term need or longer term. I honestly couldn't fault NISI or the team and the staff, the hardworking team that work there. And also the technology, having that technology and that platform to be able to gain an education from home. So thank you for listening. We also felt guilty.
So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a lot of parents could probably relate, having to not only be parents, but also do work and then have to become teachers as well, or teaching assistants at least at home. That's a lot to handle. And I think, you know, picking the right school or the education institution is supposed to really make that process smoother. And I think that's also something we really want to highlight as you're thinking about not only universities, but also what schools they're going to go to. So this is the last part of my section. You know, NISI, you know, we mentioned that there's a lot of different ways that we focus on assessments. There's different types that you can monitor that really shows this child's whole progress. You know, academic is a really key part of it, but NISI actually also creates not just an academic plan, but also a well-being plan. And for every student that's part of NISI, the unique thing that they do is they assign them to not just their teacher for their subjects, but a personal form tutor who looks at, you know, all of the subjects the students studying and how they're progressing, but also works with the careers counselors and the other resources to make sure that the well-being plan is also being followed. And that's regularly reviewed and improved, because mental health is really important, not just for now, but also in their future and their enjoyment in what they're going to be doing with their careers and the skills that they learn. So thank you all so much for listening to me. I think we'll stop the slides for now and do the Q&A session. I feel like we have a lot of questions. So can I ask JM and Ollie to join me for this part and help me answering some of these amazing questions? All right, we have Ollie and we'll have JM coming up. So a couple of the questions that I've noted down, I'm just gonna ask them, and then Ollie, you and JM can decide who wants to take this. So Ollie, until JM can join us, I wanted to ask you, you know, you mentioned the fast track route earlier as an option for students. So could you tell me, like, what are the things the parents should consider when they're deciding if the fast track, you know, IGCSE or whatever is right for their child, or, you know, might not be right for their child? What are some of the things that they should be considering, you know?
Yeah, to begin with, thanks. I mean, to begin with, I think parents, like mentioned, it's not too early or too late to decide for their college or university entry. They also should think about like what kind of field they would like to their child to join in. Of course, get their child to participate in like what are their interests in, and of course, secondly, from university perspective itself, as a counselor, I would also think that it is good that to have both parents and their kids' involvement in their education. So yeah. And that's all.
JM, did you want to add anything on the fast track route?
Well, for me, when it comes to that one, preparation. Since we're talking about preparing our students to become, to become college students. Okay, so it's very important that the schools or the parents, okay, so would help out and guide their children, okay, so in choosing the right universities. Okay, at the same time, in terms of preparation, Okay, so it is very important that they, as early as the middle school, just like what I mentioned a while ago, okay, they should be start preparing not only on the academic performance of the learners, but as well as the, the finances and any other factors that could affect, okay, their children's college life.
Jam, just to add on to that, actually, I feel like one of the parents asked a question: how can parents work with their children on soft skills, right? Like, what are some examples of activities? Do you guys have any ideas? Because I'm sure the parents are wondering what they can do.
Well, that's a very interesting question because definitely students nowadays are very different. Okay, so the way we were taught before, okay, is no longer applicable to the students of today. So one, especially now that we call them as Generation Z, as we call it here in the Philippines. So we really have, as parents, okay, so we really have to impose to them, okay, and we have really have to live on their worlds, okay, that they live right now, because it's no longer, we're no longer in that time where um we apply corporal punishment. We have a very strong we impose a very strong discipline among our students, so we have to understand and go deep with them, go understand what are their needs, okay, so not only on their physical and financial but also emotional. Okay, as parents we have to be open to them, okay, and accept the fact that they are different, okay, from where we are before. So that's how it is. Especially even teachers can actually do that, because there's a lot, like here in the Philippines, we already have a lot of policies, we have a lot of laws, okay, in terms of handling students. So we have to apply maximum tolerance, and of course we're going to impose the way we were taught before to the students of today. So definitely it will not work, because there's a big generation gap. And as teachers and parents of these children, so what I can say is that we really need to dive in. We really need to dig in and dive into the practices of this generation. But of course, maintaining the boundaries between the parents and student relationship. And
Mhm.
that's it.
Thank you so much, Jam. I agree. Like, really, you highlighted it earlier. The biggest role the parents can play is the cheerleader and the supporter. And if that helps the kids improve their confidence, I think that will go a long way in whatever they're studying and working on in terms of the academics or extracurriculars as well. Thank you. Okay, so we actually had a great question from Nokdo, is how are you supposed to get a 14-year-old excited about university? I can tell you that would have been a challenge. My parents definitely faced that challenge with me. But Oliver, you mentioned that you have some kids around the middle school, high school age. What are some tips that you can give give prospective parents on how to have this conversation with their child or children? You're on mute, Ali.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for 13 years old, 14 or 15 years old, we usually would share the universities program. Sometimes you would share with them what are the universities, what are the basics, what will be the career, what are the education pathway in order to achieve that particular career. Every kids, even at age 7 or at age 7 and at any age, they would definitely have something in mind. So as parents itself, we would always encourage that in order to achieve that, they will have to go through this education pathway. So this is how one of the methods that we get the children to get in, to involve basically or interest in the universities or college level.
Got it. So if they decide that they want to be a magician, we can tell them that they need to think about studying maybe physics or mathematics to help them with their tricks. And that might be a good technique to get them excited about higher education.
Yes, we also actually have to stress the importance of education in college. Besides the what career they are actually looking at, what they achieve, we can have to motivate them. These will be the things that as parents we have to play along to get them motivated. Yeah.
Thank you. And I know there's a lot of different curriculums in different countries where really the emphasis is just on the grade and memorization. But what we're finding more and more, and I hope you guys agree with me, is it's becoming more important for kids to have a passion for learning and the ability to be able to learn and get more information. Because, you know, as they're moving along, I think you're going to have to always keep learning. So focusing on that, you know, learning for the sake of learning and exploring your interests is really going to be key. So I think, Vanessa, you know, you asked the question about working at a trade school, and kids are really more, you know, they're seeing the ability to start off becoming entrepreneurs, which is fantastic. And, you know, they should definitely, you know, we definitely need more entrepreneurs in this world as well. But really instilling that even as an entrepreneur, they're going to go through a lot of learning curves. So giving themselves that chance to build a strong foundation in courses, you know, if they're looking at working in technology, ICT, or animations, then going to university and building their computer science knowledge or these courses can be really helpful, you know, and give them a little bit of time to work on themselves before they start their careers and their jobs already. I don't know if Jim, if you and Ollie want to add anything on there. No.
I'm good. So I think Ollie have nailed the point on that part.
Yeah. Vanessa, I hope that was an answer. If anyone has a question that they want to, you know, unmute themselves and ask, just raise your hand and our team will do that or send us a message. So a couple questions. We actually got some questions on NISI, which I really appreciate. Thank you. I don't know if that means I didn't do a good enough job of explaining, but I appreciate it. So JM, if you could take this, Anne actually asked, if we are an online school, how do kids get textbooks and how do they study from there?
Okay. Yes, for that question. So yes, I know that most of the parents are used to have textbooks now, but for an online school like Nisai, all our learning resources are already on the platform, which is the Nisai Virtual Academy, and it's similar to having a module. While what's the advantage of having that kind of learning resources is that it's more focused. Okay, so compared to textbooks where it has plenty of topics that you can decide, and it's more guided. Okay, compared to a textbook, and it's more direct. Okay, direct learning resources that they can access. Okay, through our virtual platform. So at the same time, it's a way of innovation. Okay, so when it comes to teaching and learning, whereas students can access all their resources anytime, anywhere at the fingertips of their homes.
I feel like we're just moving more and more away from printing paper and cutting down
Yes.
trees. So I am very pro environment here. Thanks, Jim. That was a really clear explanation. There's also another question on this side, which I can take. Someone was asking about the different schedules of the programs and also the extracurricular activities. So NISI is, so the programs, each classes, depending on the age range of the kids, are either 30 minutes to 1 hour long. And we have really flexible schedules so children can join with NISI, you know, in the morning and then go and play and do activities or follow their passions, join a couple of hours in afternoon classes. We also have evening classes for any students that want to study certain subjects in a physical school and then do certain subjects with NISI in the evenings. And then, yeah, it's open to all of our students. So all the way from the IGCSE Key Stage 3 9-year-olds all the way through to the A-level students. And then NISA also hosts regular competitions and, you know, essay writing, different cooking clubs and things like that, book clubs, where those are the activities that I think Ollie mentioned before, the demonstrated interests and the, you know, extracurricular activities that they can list in their applications to universities, which, you know, will help set them apart from the hundreds of thousands of applications that universities receive each year. So that was mine. And then Ollie, I think we have a question for you for the universities. I think JM did mention that it's really important for parents and students to build relationships with guidance counselors and teachers early. Can you clarify, what is the role that, the teachers or the schools play in applications for universities? I think there are some sort of like recommendation letters and things like that, right? That the school or the teachers provide. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, to my understanding, every school will have a student counselor, will have a teacher counselor. This teacher counselor role will actually advise students or graduating students that what are their pathway, the education pathway or career pathway, or which universities that they would join. So counselors, universities counselor would work closely with the school counselors in providing them the correct information, because the school counselors, the teachers counselor are very, very close to the students. All right, so they actually know what they want. And with the universities council itself, we're providing, with many different universities itself providing the information, she or he would know that what actually fits the students based on their requirements. And of course, yes, they would also would write a recommendation letter to the universities, to us, like they would recommend what kind of things that would actually help them in their application. So that actually is a good consideration for the applicants for the admission.
Good to know, right? So I think taking an apple to your teacher once in a while, or maybe making an online e-card, thanking them, can actually pay off in the long run as you get older.
Yes.
So
yes, a good relationship with the counselor is good. That is actually a plus point. Academically, besides the academic performance, besides the extracurricular performance, I think building relationship is more towards a rapport. Yeah.
Thanks, Ali. So I think we'll have one. I hope I was able to get to most of your questions. If we haven't, send us your email or send us an email, and we will make sure we get those answers to you. Beauty, I'll just take your last one. Struggling concentration and focus. I don't think your son is alone on this. A lot of kids have been going through this, with all the unknowns and uncertainties, with not just, their lives and hormones, but also what's going on in the world. So what NISI does to address that is we actually work with all of our teachers and we get them special certifications and trainings. We have a partnership with an organization called IQM, Inclusion Quality Mark, which makes sure that we have a focus where we're able to support children in their mental support if they need it, as well as their academic. So being able to change up and differentiate between the children in our classrooms, and then also be able to make sure that it's not just the teacher that's working with them, but the whole support structure is there if they need some support, outside of class. So thank you so much, Beauty. It's a really important point. It's not easy to just expect kids to ignore everything else that's going on in the world, because they face it too. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. This was fantastic. So I'd just like to summarize a little bit on what we've talked about. Thank you for bearing with us for almost an hour and a half today. Some of you joined early, which we love, so a little bit longer from you guys. So if you can see the screen, these are on the left, you'll see these are really the 4 pillars: curriculum, teaching, learning, and assessment. And they're very closely linked together to bring what we call quality education. You can't really have one without the other. And then choosing a wide range of subjects from different areas will ensure your child has the 4 C's of skills that are critical in every job career path they enter. I know we didn't touch on this before, but the 4 C's are the skills that every university is looking for their children to, the applicants to have. And they are creativity, the ability to critical think, collaboration, and then communication skills. So anything that you're working on with your children or volunteering or whatever work they're doing, make sure that they have these 4 skills covered, and they will do fantastic no matter where they go in their future. And then if we just go to the next slide. JM already covered a few of these points, discussing about things that you should talk about, start thinking about with your children or on your own when you're considering. So let me just pick out some of these points. I know all of you can see them, but like a good checklist to have is thinking about which country you'd want your child interested in going or having a few. And then, the size of the universities also makes a big impact. Are you looking for a more small arts private university or a big, large one where there's thousands and thousands and you could never really meet everyone in your college? Financial aid was a big one. And then the other thing about choosing a major, this will really impact on which location you choose, because universities in the US don't necessarily require you to declare your major when you start. However, universities in the UK, for example, need you to pick your subject before you apply or when you apply. So these are things to really consider. Questions to ask when you're thinking about the universities. So all of you that are going to be taking up Nisai and Mr. Chen's offer to get answers from university admissions people is really thinking about what the ratio is. So at Nisai in our schools, we make sure that we have an average of 8 students per class. Beauty, that's actually one of the ways we ensure the teacher's able to give personal attention to all the students, the max of 15. Universities typically have bigger classes and ratios, but it's important to consider, what are their ratios for one-on-one time with your personal tutors? Do they offer personal tutors that'll help you? Library facilities, lab facilities, and also the ability to work there, volunteer, different sports programs. I'm huge into basketball, so that was a big consideration for me when I was looking at my universities, is how nice is their basketball court? But different kids are going to have different things that they're looking for. And then the reason why it's so important to start looking at these universities is they have different requirements, and some of them offer these fast track entries. And if they do accept fast track entries, then it's important for you to think about, a high school or upper secondary school where they offer these fast track courses. And I believe Nisai does offer that for their IGCSEs in certain subjects. So these are all really, really important things for everyone to consider. All right, so I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today. Like I mentioned earlier, everyone that registered with Eventbrite, we have your emails, and everyone that registered, just joined us today in Zoom, please drop us your email and we'll